Welcome back to the great state of Connecticut. Today, a pros and cons video of my Porsche 996. You'll hear people tell you it's the worst Porsche you can buy, you should never buy a 996. Rubbish! You should definitely buy a 996, but there are some downsides too, and I'll tell you about those as well. So, here's the thing about 996s, the reason why they are the cheapest, the reason why people say they are unloved. The one central point to all of this is that it's about what people reckon rather than what people know. People have heard other people say things about it, and they told other people who have told their people, and before you know it, the entire range has a bad name for itself without anyone really knowing why. But let's begin by looking at the rumours and dealing with them one by one. Firstly, water-cooled versus air-cooled. Alright, we should pay our respects to the air-cooled engine. It's a really great engine. Not just good, but great. But here's the thing, you don't have to pick a side. You can like both. All new mainstream Porsche 911s since the 996 have been water-cooled, and we certainly didn't find that people stopped buying them. In fact, to deal in facts, more people bought the Porsche 996 than the prior two series put together. Yes, there were more 996s than there were 964s and 993s combined. They must have got something right. So water-cooled, air-cooled, who cares? You don't have to pick. This engine does indeed have one potential Achilles heel, but we'll get to that later, and even then that's a problem that can be mitigated. Next, fried eggs. My car here is the second generation of Porsche 996, the 996.2 with the upgraded headlights. Two standard complaints about the 996.1 though are that the headlights aren't round like previous models, and that they are identical to that of the lesser Boxster. So what? We are 17 years down the line now, at least as far as my car is concerned, and it is time to get over that. Besides, look at the rest of it. The rear is amongst the prettiest of all behinds of Porsche 911s, and otherwise it runs with all Porsche 911s as a classic 911 design. A massive pro in my opinion. Just look at it, it's wonderful. Real Porsche fanatics don't care either. You saw my last video with the other two amigos who just respect it as much as their own cars. Even Paul, who wears red shoes. I have found some great guys at the Porsche Club of America, and literally no one in any way has sneered at my car. But isn't the engine a ticking time bomb? Well, I'm going to attack that one with pure logic. Yes, there is a little bearing in the engine called the intermediate shaft bearing, or IMS. It's in there somewhere. I don't know where. The bearing itself is tiny but not inconsequential because it is effectively, in layman's terms, a cog. If it leaks its lubrication and falls apart, then it fries the engine completely. One effect has another effect has another effect kind of thing. That's why I call it a cog. Toast. Completely. It has been said that between 1 and 5% of all cars will have a problem. There is a strong argument that if it was going to happen, it would have already happened by now, given the age of these cars. However, and here's the logic, this comes down to your own approach to risk. Are you risk averse or a risk taker? And your own exposure to risk in terms of time. Let's take me as an example. I have 3 boys who are all either in college or about to go into college. I can't afford a new Porsche, and thus I'm going to keep this car for a very long time. So my exposure to risk is a long time, but I'm also a bit risk averse. So I'm going to get the IMS replaced. If, on the other hand, you were thinking of just keeping the car for a couple of years and you were more of a risk taker than your approach might be to ignore it and just get on with life, the worst that can happen is that you'll need a new engine, which is probably around $20,000 fitted. And the best that can happen is that you remove the issue completely by putting in the LN Engineering IMS solution, which is an oil-fed bearing which removes the problem completely. So another myth dispelled. You can remove the IMS issue completely, and have a look at my video above where I talk to my, up there I think is where it will be, where I talk to my local Porsche independent about this issue in preparation for changing my IMS in the new year. You might also wish to subscribe to follow my journey to date and when I finally get it done. It's not cheap, but over £4,500 for a Tiptronic gearbox, because the engine and the gearbox have to come out. But that's why these cars are cheap, right? We are not quite done with the engine issues though. Bore scoring is a possibility. Again, my own approach here is that if it was going to happen, then it already would have done. But this is why a pre-purchase inspection of your Porsche 996 might be useful, and get someone to do it that knows 996s rather than your local Porsche dealer. They tend to specialise in newer machinery these days. Independent shops are better at these older cars, I reckon. A boroscope inspection will do the trick here, as well as listening for that engine ticking sound that they make when they've got issues. But what about the nice stuff? I've just looked at the doom and gloom so far, haven't I? The biggest and nicest thing about them, and probably the largest compliment I can pay them, is that yes, you'll want another one. By that, if like me you buy a Carrera, you'll start looking at turbos, or 997s, or even 991s. You must resist, or not. Yes, these cars are that good, so usable as an everyday driver in fact, that you can just get in them, turn the key and drive as you would in any other car. They are not a sports car like my MG, where it's fine to drive on high days and holidays, but the moment you want to use it for anything practical or inclement weather or anything, it suddenly becomes unpleasant. No, this is a car that you can use, and which, when you turn the key and that flat six engine fires up behind you, you smile every time. The Porsche 996 is remarkable too, because it is just modern enough. It feels like a modern car. Sure, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a modern car like digital screens and radar assisted cruise control, but then who cares when you're driving a Porsche 911, which in this case cost me less than the price of a new Golf GTI. Besides, Porsche now do supply a modern stereo for Porsche 996s with a screen that has Apple CarPlay, so you can even fix that if you like. It's not cheap, but again, because I will keep the car a while, I'm going to do it. I would say you will find the steering to be a little on the heavy side compared to more modern cars, and the brakes require a bit of a heavier shove too. I'm used to that now though, and I think you get used to it pretty quickly. What else? Well, it's fast. These are light cars. This weighs just over £3,000 and has 320 bhp. A new BMW M4, just to compare, weighs up to £1,000 more than this car. An Audi TT, £200 more. A Golf GTI, £100 more. Even a new 911 weighs nearly £700 more than this car. I'm not saying it's the fastest car in the world, but then it never was. It's plenty fast enough though, even with my Tiptronic gearbox. A car, I might remind you, that won in my video of which Porsche gives you the biggest bang for your buck. In that video I put this car against all Porsche 911s on the market and created a massive spreadsheet and compared all of them for power, weight and cost. And the Porsche 996 Carrera 2 Tiptronic, that's this car, won, and the other 996 models made up 8 of the top 10 places. You see, when you look at the facts, this is a really, really good car for the money. Here's another secret about Porsche 911 ownership too that no one talks about, and which in my Three Amigos video is clearly shown. They all share a similarity. That's not to say they aren't all different, but I suspect if somebody blindfolded you and put you in a 991 and then a 992 or a 996 and then a 997, you'd be hard pushed to tell the difference. Porsche pursues its winning formula of usable sports cars from one model to the next. These cars are not revolutionary, they evolve. True, the 996's evolution was too much for some, but it's time to get over that. This car is undervalued, and you should leap in and get one before people realise and they start becoming unaffordable. The Porsche 996 turbos are going up in value, and it's only a matter of time before the others follow suit. I paid $26,500 for this, now 28,000 mile car, and I suspect it's worth more than I paid for it. Tell me what you think in the comments below. So another benefit right there, free motoring. These cars have hit rock bottom in my opinion, and now is the time to buy. Do it now before it's too late. So, in answer to the question, yes, I would buy another one. I've just got to stop myself buying a better one, a more powerful one. And I'm going to keep this one for now. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please consider subscribing if you like this kind of stuff. Follow my journey with this 996. I've already done quite a number of videos on it already, and there's many more to come, including that IMS bearing change later, well, it'll be the early part of New Year now. Smash the like button if you liked this. That really helps me to go up the rankings. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.